Prior to a short recess, the legal counsel or the counsel for our witness had asked for a short time to advise his client. I believe Representative Tebutep had the floor. Representative Tebutep, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And prior to that, we were looking at Division 6 of the Criminal Procedure Act, subsection 6101. Section 6101, in particular, subsection B. So my simple question would be to the witness whether he understands the contents of that subsection.
Subsection B.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Captain. You know, even just the word criminal procedures seems so intent. As you know, this is not a criminal proceedings on you. I think the chairman has elaborated on the intent that this committee is to assert if any truth to the allegations in the resolution 17111. And in this particular instance, it's on it's on Article 4, 6 and 11. Ufat, awu khatra ufat relmilla.
Over.
Khatra. Förle amalu förmilla. Faliwat as fali metawi ayer nali sarfat.
Comprender raha tío. Relaibo pilu SR.
Mal rasibul afar al ngal shaya lo namu bisu kapasal bikum sabu ya kapasal bo akashar palmefi.
Over.
Namu isa palga la fushi metafalo metakaulu hilarelo. Namu resibul kapasal rangalis ukatla ilal naru resibul kapasal farwash.
Respectfully, Congressman, I thought we were back to English.
I'm asking him whether he's comfortable more in our language, Carolinian or English.
Dio. Namo sa kusar markono boleh attorney wu compreendimento artitila.
Thank you. I'll ask very straight, maybe yes or no, if you want to answer. On or about August 3rd or early part of August 4th, were you instructed to, what's the word, to back off from assisting any government agency to provide any document, some court document, to be provided to Mr. Ed Buckingham?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional right to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Captain. Were you forced?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional right to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Were you instructed?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Were you demanded?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Were you coerced?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Captain. Lastly, were you directed to shield some documents, some court documents, to be provided to Mr. Ed Buckingham?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Captain. Were you forced to shield some documents or some court documents to be provided to Mr. Ed Buckingham?
Under the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Were you forced by your superior to shield some court documents to be provided to Mr. Ed Buckingham?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Were you coerced?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other members?
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, sir.
No? Captain, thank you for your patience. We have a few more questions and then we should be done. I wonder if you recall the media footages covering that event. It was out on the newspaper. Yes, please. And I don't recall at what point, but there was an interview of the governor. I think it was on the KMCV or KSPN news, where the governor was explaining what had happened. And I don't recall everything that the governor said, but he basically said that because Mr. Buckingham had basically sold all of his possessions, that he didn't have the means to go to the airport, didn't have anything, and that's why he had to go, and that's why you assisted or provided some assistance to take him to the airport. And I think it also mentioned that you used your personal vehicle. Do you recall that? It was on the air. It's public knowledge. It's not a secret or anything. Council, do we have that video footage? Maybe just to enlighten us. I think we do have that footage, and it is relevant to this testimony. So, and it's public knowledge. So it's just so that either I don't ask the wrong question or misrepresent what had happened. Council, we do have that video footage. Is it okay if we show it just to refresh our memory?
I think, if you correct me if I'm wrong, and thank you for allowing us a few seconds, because your question was talking about, did Captain Nekaifes recall media footage, and it sort of went on, so that's why we took a couple of seconds to, but I think he's able to answer your question without the need of seeing a footage of some sort.
Okay. I just didn't want to misrepresent what the governor said, but
with all due respect, Chairman, my client can only speak for himself.
thank you. You may respond, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't see that footage, so cannot recall anything about the footage.
Okay. For my question to ask, just so that I don't misrepresent what happened there, like I said, it is public knowledge. It was on the air, and we do have the footage. Do you have any objection, counsel or witness, if we can just preview that so I can ask the right question?
It's your call, Mr. Chairman. I have no objection. My client has already indicated to this honorable committee and to you in response that he didn't see the footage. He doesn't recall the footage, although it's...
Understood. Thank you. And fair enough. I guess my question, let me just ask the question and let's see if you can, answer it. Were you asked, by the governor to provide transportation to Mr. Buckingham?
Mr. Chairman, my answer is no. Thank you.
You did come out on record and say that you did transport Mr. Buckingham to the airport. Is that correct?
I believe, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, sorry, it's but same thing, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. The question that was asked of my client was, did he pick them up at Aquarius Towers? It was the second question that referenced the airport, and that's when my client asserted his right to remain silent. The first question was limited only to the aquariums. To the extent that your question is now referencing the airport, I believe my client had asserted his right to remain silent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So your client, it was the first question, did he pick him up from the Aquarius, that he responded yes. But as far as taking him to the airport, that was the question that he asserted, pleaded his Fifth Amendment?
That's correct.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't even notice that. But it is public knowledge because it was on KSPN did cover that, and I think they even had a coverage of the vehicle, the license plate. I guess my next question is, and I asked already if he was asked to, and he said no. So question is, was it Mr. Buckingham that asked you to take him to the airport from Aquarius Beach Hotel?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Counsel, do you know if he was asked earlier whether he was Representative David, did you ask him if he was aware that a legal contract was to be served on Mr. Buckingham? Was that question already asked? And the response was pleaded the Fifth? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
One more
clarification.
Okay,
Your
point of
question.
clarification.
Not necessarily, I was very specific in mentioning some court documents, any court documents.
So noted. Thank you. Were you aware, and again I apologize if this question was asked already, but were you aware that there was instructions not to serve the legal document to the former Attorney General?
On the advice of my lawyer, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you. Captain Nekaifes, did you check in the Buckingham's luggage to the Delta counter?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Captain. Captain, do you know what time Mr. and Mrs. Buckingham departed Saipan International Airport?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Were you there when Mr. and Mrs. Buckingham boarded, or rather, yeah, I guess, boarded the airline? Were you still at the terminal, and did you witness it?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
My last question. Were you there when the federal agents, FBI agents, Special Agent Park and Special Agent Prida served the legal document to Mr. Buckingham?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
That's all I have. Any other members? One more, Representative De La Cruz.
Just a quick short one, Chairman. Captain Nekaifes, did you have any communications with the Sinamay Governor Fitio with regards to the transporting of Mr. and Mrs. Buckingham from the Aquarius Beach Tower to the Saipan International Airport?
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Chairman.
Before, one more thing. Counsel, our counsel, did you find the relevant... can you please show it just so we can understand fully? I want to have a clear understanding. Can you project it? Right. Proceed.
At about the same time. By mid-afternoon that day, OPA investigators began looking for Buckingham to serve the summons and went to his place of residence at Aquarius Beach Tower in Chalankanoa. The hotel's general manager received the summons, but OPA wanted to serve Buckingham personally and camped outside of the hotel to wait for him. Sometime after midnight, I received a tip that the Buckinghams might attempt to leave the island on a 6 a.m. flight to Japan. I went to the airport at about 3:30 a.m., accompanied by my partner, Glenn Hunter. None of the officers standing outside would tell me what was going on, so I headed for the Delta check-in counter and ran right into DPS Deputy Commissioner Ambrosio Gomoro, Jermaine Nekaifes, and Ports Police Chief during a process. I approached Okamura. Sir, do you have what's happening?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Is the AG's office the address? I followed the men outside. Okamura gave orders to his junior officers and moved to the gray 4Runner at the curb. The officers walked towards me and gave me their first order. Step back.
Just follow the.
At this point, I still thought it was possible the officers were there to assist OPA in serving Buckingham the penal summons if and when he arrived. While I waited to see what would happen, the officer stood by me the entire time and ordered me repeatedly to step back, but would not give me any grounds for the order. After a few minutes, Okamura and Nekaifes emerged from the vehicle with luggage that they transferred to the trunk. The officers moved towards me once again, and another order was issued. What happened next happened quickly. I heard doors slam and footsteps rushing towards me. The Buckinghams emerged from the gray vehicle flanked by Okamura and Nekaifes, and at the same time, the officers in front of me closed in and began pushing me back. Mr. Buckingham, Mr. You, sir. You, what are you doing? I'm media. Attempted to make what he called a special limited appearance on Buckingham's behalf today, but the judge asked what authority the AG's office has to represent someone charged with crimes, and whether the office isn't also conflicted by the fact that OPA Special Prosecutor is now legally considered an Assistant Attorney General for the purposes of this case. Bernberg replied that at least some of the charges implicate official acts. Moreover, Wiseman remarked, the court doesn't make a is the basis for new charges filed today, including one more count of misconduct in public office and one additional count of obstruction of justice. Hasselback said Buckingham didn't deserve the generosity of a continuance and said the court's only recourse was to issue the arrest warrant and reject representation by the AG's office for a criminal defendant. In issuing the bench warrant, Wiseman said he found it extremely disturbing for the AG to treat the court with such blatant indifference. The judge said Buckingham had no justifiable excuse for not appearing. And got out of a gray 4Runner parked on the curb at the airport, a vehicle that, we were told, belonged to the governor's driver and security aide, Jermaine Nekaifes. Mr. Buckingham, Mr. You, what are you doing? Here's some of that video again in slow motion, and a shot of the Buckinghams, guarded by Nekaifes and Public Safety's Deputy Commissioner Ambrosio Okamura, moving towards the glass doors leading to the departure terminal. The Buckinghams disappeared up the ramp to airport security. Then, Okamura and a Ports Police captain came out.
Excuse me.
Why is the police officer...
Excuse me.
Sir, there's a few of them in Rockford.
I don't know about that.
Has he... Okamura and the Ports Police captain headed to the gray vehicle on the curb and came back carrying what appeared to be the Buckingham's luggage. Police would not allow KSPN to enter the departure area through the glass doors, nor even from the other side. We confirmed that at this point, Buckingham still hadn't been personally served his summons. OPA investigators were at the Ports Police office, on the phone and talking to Ports officers. At the time, one officer told KSPN off camera that the Ports Authority didn't know anything about the summons. Later, however, we were told that CPA police had actually declined to issue the summons despite an OPA request for assistance, and that OPA investigators were not allowed access to the departure area. Then sometime around 4 a.m., the FBI showed up at OPA's request. After about 20 minutes in the office, the agents emerged and went straight for the departure terminal. One agent carried the summons in his hand. Witnesses told KSPN the Buckinghams were in the VIP lounge at the terminal, guarded by Jermaine Nekaifes and Ports Police Chief Jordan Kosa. The three officers had tried to lock the lounge to prevent anyone from entering, but were told they could not do so according to airline policy, so at least one officer, we're told it was Kosa, stood on guard outside. When the FBI agents arrived at the lounge with the summons in hand, the officers allegedly tried to stop them. We don't have details of the exchange that happened then, but we do know that some 20 minutes after the agents went up the ramp to look for the AG, they came back out with no summons in hand. Buckingham had been served.
That's enough, Counsel.
We're told that at least 2 of the police vehicles seen on Saturday were purchased.
I just have a I wanted to ask the witness if what we saw, which is, like I said, already public record, a fair representation of what had occurred at the airport.
On the advice of my lawyer, I again respectfully assert my constitutional rights to remain silent under the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and also under Article 1, Section 4C of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Thank you, sir. And I think I have no further questions of the witness. Would any of the members like to pose any further questions before we dismiss the... Is there any objection to dismissing our witness? Thank you, members. And thank you, Captain.
Mr. Chairman, it's really terribly important that my clients are aware that there's a distinction between being released and still under the, concern with the subpoena aside. So if you notice, this is the 3rd time that when you do your presentation, I make sure my clients are listening to you very carefully.
Thank you. I think I'm used to the same word every time. It's is there any? There's no objection to the chair dismissing the witness. Since there's no objection, Captain, first of all, thank you for appearing. I want to thank you for your cooperation and legal counsel as well. And we understand perfectly your response to the committee's question. With that, you are going to be excused. Should the, dismissed. Dismissed is the word. Should the committee require your testimony, the committee, through our Sergeant-at-Arms, would give you reasonable notice, ample notice, and to appear before this body. If you already have provided your contact number to our Sergeant-at-Arms, then we wish you a good day. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, before I say it, can I also be notified as well, so that I can also work my schedule around this honorable body's scheduling?
Sarge, please take note. If we are to any of the witnesses that Council Sir Nicholas is representing, that we also give the Council same ample notice. With that, you are hereby dismissed. Thank you again very much.
And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this honorable body. Thank you very much.
Thank you also, Mr. Chairman, and members.
Members, I think, LA, before we discuss the possibility of a recess until Tuesday, is it? Can we just make sure that our schedule is clear for the following week? Can you please update the members on what our schedule is for next week?
If everyone can refer to the packet that I delivered this morning. Louder. Alright, on Tuesday, October 9th, 9 o'clock a.m., we have 3 witnesses, which is Gilbert Bernberg, Jim Stump, and Rina Patel. And then 1 o'clock, the 9 o'clock is referring to Article 9. And then the 1 o'clock is Georgia Cabrera and Arnold K. Semen, which refers to Article 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. And then View to Makani, or Bow to Makani, is Samu Jones and Selena Regis, referring to Articles 4, 6, 11. And that's for Tuesday.
Members, if you recall, relative to the Acting Attorney General bio, we did agree that we were going to discuss the matter in terms of who we are going to ask to represent the Attorney General's office, and get back to her, and also to schedule it so she can be given, whoever the person is can be given ample notice and scheduling. And I think in addition to that, we also need to dispose of when we are going to, I think we also scheduled the Secretary of Finance to come back. Okay, we don't have anything in here for Wednesday,
Right.
other than Mr. Fong, so can we address that now?
Yes. On Wednesday, today it was added, Lillian Pangilinan and Larissa Larson are added for 9 o'clock on Wednesday. And then Ambrosio Ogumuro is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, which is October 10, 2012. And Mr. Fong is still tentative.
So the only person we haven't clarified yet is, or scheduled rather, is the Attorney General, the representative from the Attorney General. Maybe we should dispose of that right now, or decide on that right now, and then where to, who, I guess the question is, who will we ask to represent the Attorney General's office? Let that be the first question, or point for discussion rather. Members, would you like to offer any recommendations or discussions? We did bring in the acting Attorney General, I think there were concerns by the members that for relevant reasons she was asked to be dismissed. So the question still lies, who will be asked to represent the Attorney General's office regarding the I believe it was the Hatch Act. No, the hosting. Short recess. Regarding the issue of the Attorney General's office witness, we are going to refrain from asking the acting AG to appear before this body or dismiss her. And I believe Representative Stanley Torres has a motion to make.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Recognize.
Mr. Chairman and members, I'd like to make a motion to call in 3 more witnesses regarding the former Attorney General's issue. 3 of them: Frida Lemapon, the administrative assistant to the former AG.
Point of clarification, Chairman.
I think the point of clarification you want to make is to reference the relevant article regarding the former AG, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and this is relevant to the hosting at the governor's office, and I think that has to do with the article. The Hatch Act, correct. Article 10.
Alright.
Article 10.
Okay, and let me restate. Frida Lemapon,
LA, please take note.
Tom Camacho, the assistant Tom Camacho is one of the assistants for the governor.
Governor's cabinet member.
Right. And the third one is Mike Ernest, the former assistant AG. Thank you.
Before I recognize a motion under, before we go to discussion, a further clarification of your motion, Chair, can you include the relevant provision which allows for less than 5 days notice?
That's probably what we can do. So I read that.
As long as the members acknowledge that that provision is included. Further discussion?
And just for clarification, Mr. Chair, I believe that provision is 1 CMC 1302.
So noted. Before we vote on it, can the LAs give us a schedule?
You have 8 people on Tuesday, 3 people on Wednesday. So we will advise for Wednesday
1 p.m.?
afternoon, 1 p.m.
And at 1 p.m. we only have 1 individual.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll include those 3 individuals in the afternoon session starting at 1 p.m. Any further discussion? The council has informed the chair that there does need to be reasonable notice, even though it's less than 5 days. Today's a Friday, Monday's a holiday, so the earliest it can be drafted and signed is Tuesday, and hopefully delivered is Tuesday. So we cannot hold it on Wednesday. Would Friday be reasonable, Council? Provided it's, we'll try to, can I ask that we try to draft this before, I will sign it anytime it's ready. Maybe before, and it can be issued, maybe over the weekend. if that's okay with the members, that way still give these witnesses ample time. So we will try. We will still schedule it for Friday at 9 a.m. Is that agreeable? Provided if any of the witnesses wish to come in earlier, we can accommodate that.
What is the date for next Friday, Chair? It's not a holiday or?